is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're excited to share with you today our collaboration with Cityworks, show you all some great demos, and give you a sneak peek of what's coming next with ArcGIS Indoors. I see there's still a few folks joining here, so let's give everyone a moment here, allow them to join in. We'll get started shortly. While we're waiting, I want to kindly remind everyone that throughout the webinar, if you have any questions at all, at any point during the webinar, you can ask them. So feel free to type them there in the chat window, and we'll be able to see them as they come in. For those of you that are joining us, we're giving folks another minute or so here, allowing everyone to join the webinar. We'll be getting started shortly. Okay, let's kick things off. Thank you everyone for joining. Again, very excited to be here. Thank you all for taking the time. I am here with a few of colleagues that we work together, so I'll kick things off here. Introductions. My name is Marco Viola. I'm an account executive on the ArcGIS Indoors team, part of our smart city sector here at Esri. I work along with our users, ensuring their success with ArcGIS Indoors, as well as with partners, making sure that we're aligned and up to date, giving you all the best support possible. With me today is Becky from Cityworks. She is the VP of Vision and Product Engineering, as well as Jake, the Manager of Virtual Design and Construction Services at Trimble. So we have a lot to cover today. So I just want to make sure I give everyone a brief agenda of what we're going to go over. We just started with some introductions. Next, I'll move on to an overview, introduction of ArcGIS Indoors and some use cases. Then I'll hand it over to Becky to give you all an overview of Cityworks, and she will show you what our integrated systems look like and some demos. Then we'll hand it over to Jake to give you an overview of what the Trimble scanning and data capturing process is like. I'll give you a sneak peek into what's new with ArcGIS Indoors, and we will jump straight into Q&A. Before we get started, brings us to our first poll question here. It's interactive, so feel free to answer, and we will be displaying the results once we close a poll. And so the first poll question here is, are you currently looking to invest in a smart facility management system? So we'll give everyone a moment here to respond to the poll, and then we will show those results up on screen.
All right, and there's still some votes incoming, so I'm going to give everybody a couple more seconds. And then we're going to go ahead and close the poll. I'm going to share the results. And it looks like roughly 50% of the people are not quite sure yet, but roughly 30% are looking into investing in ArcGIS Indoors actually, which is awesome. Right.
Yeah, good results. And for those 50%, I am sure that you will find this webinar helpful, and maybe, switch that vision and make some investments in smart facility management systems. And the reason why is really how 80% of facility costs are in the operations and maintenance side of a facility. And while capital facility investments are astronomical, up to 80% of facility costs are realized in this operations and maintenance phase. And so the bottom line is that incremental improvements in planning and management of facilities, operations, and maintenance processes can have massive, long-lasting returns on investments. And by building a spatial common operating picture, and you'll hear me refer to that phrase quite a bit, this common operating picture that integrates data across different business processes and supports supporting technologies, organizations, it's helping really reduce this inefficiency in planning of operations and maintenance, and really helping organizations become more efficient in the fulfillment of occupant issues and repairs. So a little overview here on ArcGIS Indoors as a system and what it is. At a high level, ArcGIS Indoors supports operations and mobility by making floor-aware assets accessible through both 2D and 3D web maps, and through mobile applications that are indoor location aware. Indoors as a system is cross-platform, meaning it's very friendly and open in terms of integrating with different business systems. It is totally floor aware and ready to connect with your Internet of Things at your organization. And some organizations are already adopting ArcGIS Indoors as their main platform to connect the different stakeholders. And so real quick, I'd like to show you three main use cases that we've been seeing, or the three biggest recurring themes from our users that are already adopting this platform. First and foremost, it's this ability to deliver a new experience for all of our building occupants. Employees and visitors don't have to be frustrated anymore, wondering either where they need to be, where their appointments are, where their next meeting is, or where their colleagues are. Instead, now they can leverage the Indoors web and mobile applications and enable occupants to easily find amenities, find colleagues, collaboration spaces, and even reserve room for appointments for long-term visiting employees as well. And through these web and mobile applications, like we mentioned, we can enable this different collaboration on our daily business needs across our facilities and really enable these occupants. And like we mentioned, this ability of having the system be open, a lot of these things are made possible, for instance, with the integration with Office 365. Besides occupant engagement, a second strong use that we've been seeing with ArcGIS Indoors is around space management. And so whether space moves are a strategic expansion or a consolidation or a tactical support for a specific project, they require space plans, right? These space plans help minimize cost of moves. It helps communicate with the necessary stakeholders and properly sequence different events. And so ArcGIS Indoors maintains an up-to-date visual inventory of space allocation and utilization to plan and evaluate scenarios that help organizations save time and money when executing a space move. So with Indoors, we have different ways of doing space management and viewing space, whether it's understanding which spaces are occupied versus vacant, and also providing you all the ability to have different space planning scenarios and creating hotel areas, hot desking, reserving meeting rooms, and whatnot. The last use case that we've been seeing is around planned maintenance for maintenance management, right, or user requests and repairs that keep these facilities safe, functional, and productive for all of the occupants. By enabling occupants to report incidents or request services to a specific location, the big picture of maintenance, repairs, and requests becomes more clear. ArcGIS Indoors also provides dynamic insights into the location of incidents, the request, and maintenance needs to improve planning and execution of maintenance. So it makes really this whole maintenance management across the facilities for different type of assets accessible and a lot more efficient. The last thing I want to share with you all before I hand it over to Becky is our support that we have been giving our customers around returning to the workplace due to this COVID world that we're living in today. And so many customers are recognizing the ability to leverage the system of record ArcGIS Indoors establishes as a foundational data set for return to work use cases. In some cases, such as operational support, all that is required is configuring new categories of points of interest, new types of work orders and surveys, and new actions to take from our ArcGIS Indoors applications. In other cases, new workflows are required. For example, performing 6-foot analysis of offices, assigning new office spaces, and even potentially implementing indoor positioning for tracking and proximity tracing. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Becky, give you all an overview introduction into Cityworks.
Thank you, Marco. And before we get started, we actually do have a poll that's going to take place. So Sylvia?
Right, so in our second poll, we would like to know from you, do you currently have a CMMS in place? No, we're not planning to implement one. No, we're researching systems. Yes, we're using Cityworks, or yes, but we're using another provider. And we're going to give everybody a couple of seconds to submit their votes. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and close that poll and share the results with everybody. So it seems like it's pretty balanced. Actually, most of the people said that they were using Cityworks, which is awesome. But there's also some that are using others and some that are not really sure yet. But 30% are saying that they're currently researching systems. All right, and with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Becky.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. Well, and hopefully we'll be able to provide some information today that will help those of you who are researching systems to help evaluate what you're looking for in an application. And so Cityworks provides a spectrum of enterprise asset management and permitting functionality that's able to be used within organizations to support the individuals maintaining buildings and facilities, electric, airports, water and public works, and many more assets, as well as diving into functionality supporting planning and community development. So inspections, permitting, construction processes, and all these applications are able to be used across this entire application with a variety of plugins, which we also support that enable and expand that functionality to dive into resource allocation, development of risk strategies, permitting, budgeting, contract management, and more. And I'll be diving into that as we get further into today's presentation. But Cityworks does this by working across Esri's model of the system of record, system of engagement, and system of insight. The Esri geodatabase is a sole asset record, only asset registry that's used without all of Cityworks. And that enables us to provide a single unified record for all users across the organization, whether they're using Cityworks or the GIS. They're all working against the same registry of information in terms of making planning decisions for the infrastructure, looking at the same location data, attribute data, as well as being able to bring that information in to look at it within Cityworks and make those planning decisions, scheduling of work activities, and using that real-time data. The system of engagement for Cityworks is enabling those applications, the Cityworks application, to be used to engage with the public. So in terms of the communication of service requests that are coming in from citizens, reporting of potholes or missing stop signs, water complaint issues, those are all able to be captured within Cityworks, as well as engagement with those field crews who are out in the field inspecting those complaints, processing work orders for repairs, and tracking inspections for condition assessment. The information that's being captured there is brought into the system to track resources that are being used for equipment, labor, material usage, and again, detailing into projects and contract management as well. All this data across the system of record from the GIS and the system of engagement from Cityworks is accumulated to provide a system of insight. Is our Ops dashboard and ArcGIS Insights to provide analytics for our clients, and being able to provide that spatial analysis with the location awareness that's being hydrated from their GIS and their Cityworks information almost immediately based off the work that's been done in terms of leveraging ArcGIS Insights to provide out-of-the-box analytics that tie into Cityworks. And we'll be showing that as we dive through today's presentation. And as I mentioned, the ArcGIS system is the only asset inventory for Cityworks. There's no duplication of the data, but this is enabling us to go through and work with the Esri platform stack in a way that's unique for our application. We're able to take those additional apps and tools created by Esri and embed them within Cityworks solutions to expand that functionality for our users and organizations. We see that realized in the way that we're able to go through and tie in to these systems that you see here. So in terms of, as I mentioned, using Ops Dashboard and ArcGIS Insights as a method for providing analytics within the system, and also tying these tools in with ArcGIS Hub to provide communication back to the public and data transparency, both internally as well for reporting processes, but as I mentioned, also for sharing out to the public and sharing data in terms of long-term plans, daily activities, and also in emergency management situations, making sure that that information that's being collected within Cityworks in terms of those activities is also shared out to the public to give them real-time updates. We're also able to work with Citizen Problem Reporter and use this as a means of initiating those service requests within Cityworks to capture that information as a method of engagement and use it as a process to kick off a workflow within Cityworks that might result in work orders or inspections with real-time updates being provided back to those citizens that initiate the issues. And then also being able to leverage Survey 123 for ArcGIS and Collector in combination with our own native apps to extend that functionality and provide more customized solutions for the users. All of this also relates to what we've been able to do, and it's laid the groundwork tying into ArcGIS Indoors and what we've been able to accomplish there in a pretty minimal level of effort and time frame. And I'd like to discuss what we're talking about here. And in that sense, as I mentioned, Cityworks uses the geodatabase from Esri as the sole asset record. What that also means is that in terms of the model for Cityworks, we're not dependent on having modules. So anything that's in the GIS can be used within Cityworks. We're really just laying down that asset management and permitting functionality across anything that's in the geodatabase. And so that enables us to work across a variety of sectors within the market. So buildings and facilities, water and wastewater, community development, airports. And there's a number of these areas where we're actually seeing our customers engaging with ArcGIS Indoors and using it as a means for management of those facilities and vertical assets. Most specifically, we're tying in with buildings and facilities, treatment plants across water and wastewater and utilities, and airports. These are the areas that we're seeing the most response and demand and interest in terms of the combination between Cityworks for the asset management that's overlaying on the ArcGIS Indoors model. And how are we accomplishing that? This method of integration has been through our mobile apps. So enabling the ability for Cityworks activities to be both viewed, modified, and accessed, and creating new activities from the mobile apps within Indoors. And then also extending that same functionality and design to the back-end web app as well, enabling those users using the web app in the back office to view where activities are already scheduled and create new activities for those field users. And so with that, I'd actually like to go into some demos and show you what this looks like. So what we're looking at right here is actually the ArcGIS Indoors mobile app. It's enabling those users who are logged in to come into the system, view map data, and they can come in and start to essentially view their map selections. And then from there, you can see the Cityworks activities were already shown there. This essentially acts as an inbox for those users. They're able to view where those activities are located on the map, provide some sorting in terms of going and identifying how they're being displayed, accessing those icons and diving into more details to see the type of work, where it's located, who it's been assigned to. And you can see this information here. I can also see the proximity to those items, the assignment, again, information, when it was submitted, and the type of work. I can also sort these by priority in my inbox. And then from there, I'm able to use the tool set within ArcGIS Indoors to actually go through the routing process, identify the fastest route to navigate there, depending on the size of the organization that I'm working within, the city, the campus, a building facility. This enables those users to have efficient means to get there. And then from there, in the mobile app from Indoors, they're able to go ahead and launch that information in the Cityworks mobile app. You can see it was a seamless handoff there. There wasn't the need for the user to log back in twice. That's part of the process through the integration that we've established with Esri to make sure that the feeling for those users is a seamless handoff between the two systems, and it combines easily. But now if we start to dive into more of what that actually looks like, I'm going to go into a little bit more in-depth demonstration here and start to show again how it looks from within, really focusing on that integration process. So here we are again back in the Indoors mobile app, and you can see I have my icons there for my Cityworks service requests, work orders, and inspections. In this case, the user again is accessing their inbox, seeing those service requests that have been assigned to them, clicking on the details to capture more of the type of work and its location. And then from here, based off the inspection that's actually taken place from that assignment process, that review that's actually taking place in the building, they can go through and create the work order for the repair process. And again, they are able to create that work order directly from the mobile app from Indoors. It launches them into Cityworks. From here, the user has the ability to select the type of work that will be performed and then actually start to dive into more of those details. So as I mentioned with Cityworks, we're able to start tracking some of that information related to the resource allocation. So I can go in as a user now and identify my crew that's been working on this repair process, start to track in some labor hours for them as well. And if I need to, I could also go through and track that information that's associated to the equipment and material that was used as part of that repair process. So this information is then all captured within Cityworks. If needed, I can also add additional information related to the specific project or contract that might be associated with the work that's being done. But then I can come back in from here and I can see that work order now on my Cityworks map for what was initiated back on the indoor side. And so for those users, they're able to have this process that takes place, but then this information also relays back into what they're seeing, as I mentioned, in the back office, in the web app side. And so from here, those users are able, that same information for all those activities is available across the entire platform. So the activities being created from the mobile app or from the web app available to all users, and even to those users who aren't using Indoors that are only working within Cityworks. The same record of information is available. And so from here, they can also go in again from the web app, create those work orders, view those work orders that have already been created, and capture more details from the Cityworks side. And then they can go in from here, and as you can see, create those activities. In addition to having that same inbox view with a listing of assignments that have been assigned to those users. And because of the information all being tracked within the way that Cityworks actually creates those activities as essentially a feature service that can be pulled into Esri, the accumulation of all this information, both from Indoors within the GIS and within Cityworks, is all available to be rolled up with an ops dashboard for data sharing within the organization. These can be embedded as well within the Cityworks application itself for those priority users that need to have real-time data available based off of the information that's being tracked within these facilities. So now in terms of how this information, in terms of how this application is being provided to clients, we're able to go ahead and offer this across a number of the Cityworks ELAs. So within Cityworks, there's Essential, Standard, and Premium ELAs. For the most part, everything that you've seen here is included within these ELAs, with the exception of the integration to the mobile, which is only available at the Standard and Premium level. But within Cityworks, everything that we've done in terms of the 2D viewer is available across the ELA options. So we have the floor plan visualization. We have embedded Esri's floor picker widget in both our 3x and 4x map, and that's available to our users at the 2D process. And then also integration to the web app, and this is full support across the asset management and permitting sides of Cityworks. This will be, as we start to progress through our 3D viewer, which is coming in the future, there will be an additional fee for adding the functionality within the 3D viewer. And I believe that completes the slide for Cityworks in terms of the overview. And at this point, I'm going to head things back over to Jake.
Yeah. Before Jake kicks things off, I want to set a little context to Jake's side of the presentation here. and really focus on how important this floor plan information that we have is. It's vital to getting started with indoors, and we have strategic partners to help with this process, like Trimble. And the reason I say strategic is because if your floor plans are in bad shape, or you do not have any floor plan information, whether in CAD or BIM formats, we can leverage partners like Trimble that will not only give you this indoor model of your as-built floor plans, but provide it in a deliverable format compatible with our indoors information model, which allows you to kind of use that information and that floor plan that they scanned and use it as a plug and play with our tools to fit that floor plan information into ArcGIS Indoors. And so I invited, Trimble and Jake specifically to give you all insight into what this process looks like.
Thank you, Marco. Before we get started, I believe we have one more poll question for the audience. Are your vertical assets currently in a GIS?
And we're going to give everybody a couple more seconds. There's still some votes coming in. And we're going to go ahead and close the poll and share the results. And it looks like it's pretty balanced. So 55% say that they're not in a GIS yet, whereas 45% say that it is. All right, gonna go and hand it back over to Jake.
Thank you, Sylvia. I assume many of you in attendance are familiar with the data capture technologies, but for those who aren't, on the left side of the screen, you can see some common tools of the trade. We have our traditional tripod-based static scanners, aerial drones for outdoor data capture, or cart-mounted scanners for more accessible indoor spaces. Each of these devices projects a laser onto a surface such as a wall, floor, or ceiling, which is reflected back to the device, capturing the distance and angle of a point of the surface. Do that a couple of million times as you move through a space, and you end up with an assembly of points commonly referred to as a point cloud. Point clouds can be visualized on their own or used as a reference to create 2D CAD or 3D BIM data. The process starts by determining what as-built data, if any, is available for a facility. In some cases, a facility owner may have existing floor plans in blueprint or digital PDF format, a good CAD, bad CAD, or for more modern facilities, good 3D or bad 3D models. It could be the case that a set of 2D CAD floor plans simply needs to be reviewed and touched up, maybe supplemented with some new furniture or annotations based on the content required for a particular indoors implementation. If no data exists, or some exists but it is incomplete or inconsistent, it may be required to capture the existing conditions from scratch with scanning technology. Regardless of the method, the objective is to arrive at a complete and consistent set of plans for all spaces intended for use with ArcGIS Indoors, so that the data administrator and end user has a consistent user experience. Our preferred method of data capture for indoor spaces is Trimble's Indoor Mobile Mapping System, or TIMS. It's basically a cart-mounted laser scanner with onboard hard drives and batteries that allows you to capture up to 250,000 square feet of space a day. An inertial sensor in the base keeps track of movement and direction, automating point cloud registration and simplifying downstream data processing. This is really the best tool to use when you don't have a lot of stairs or uneven terrain to navigate, but for more complex spaces, we would supplement the process with static scanning for better control. This is an example of a point cloud captured using the TIMS cart. As you can see in the image, with a laser scanner, what you see is what you get. This space was captured during business hours and has a lot of people and other noise that wasn't relevant for the maps that we wanted to produce. So after capture, we went through a process of cleaning and sampling the data down to just what was needed to efficiently produce a 2D floor plan of the space. After prepping the data in a point cloud processing application such as Trimble RealWorks, we can export to DWG directly or to a 3D modeling platform such as SketchUp, Revit, or Tekla. The most basic deliverables for ArcGIS Indoors are a 2D DWG floor plan and Excel configuration spreadsheet. The DWG contains all of the lines and polygons needed to visualize the map and provide constraints for geofencing networks. And the spreadsheet tells Indoors how to categorize the vector and metadata into GIS data. At this stage, it's important for us as a services team to recall the content plan that was developed with the customer at the start of the project. If one of the customer's goals is wayfinding between points or spaces, you have to make sure that those points or spaces are defined in the CAD data. Common challenges include open office seating plans and storage or furniture layout, which change regularly and are sometimes not kept up to date by facilities management. The base CAD data can be enhanced with additional content to support specific use categories or purpose-driven workflows. One example is the labeling of security assets such as gates, card readers, or cameras. These can be placed in the CAD data as points, which would be accessible by Indoors, or in the case of fire life safety, fire extinguishers, fire department connections, or standpipes can be included as details shown on the maps. Assets with regular maintenance schedules, such as lighting or plumbing fixtures, can be represented graphically, and service areas for garbage and recycle or storage can be set up as destinations. To help understand the options, here are 3 potential levels of service for a 4-building portfolio of roughly 500,000 square feet. The most basic service could be a simple upgrade of existing 2D CAD floor plans. This could be done 100% remotely to minimize cost with a quick turnaround, depending on the complexity of the maps. If as-built data is not available, we would recommend mobilizing a crew to scan the facility. Deliverables for a scan would include a measurable point cloud and images in addition to CAD floor plans. For an additional fee, we could develop a 3D building information model from the captured point cloud that could be used for more advanced facility management workflows. Our professional services team can provide customer-facing consultative services as well as back-end data production for this part of the workflow. We work with a variety of partners and customers for as-built data capture, including our worldwide network of SciTech, Geospatial, and Building Point distributors. And we're looking to connect with new partners who serve our Indoors and Cityworks customers. If you have any questions about the data capture process or how to work with us, please contact your Cityworks representative, ArcGIS Indoors representative, or your Trimble representative and ask them to connect you to the Trimble consulting team. And with that, I will pass it back.
Thank you so much, and I really can't emphasize how important this piece is and how great it's been working with you all, Jake, and the great work you all have done for us and our mutual customers as well. Next, I want to spend some time, just a few minutes here before we get to the Q&A section, on showing you all what's new, some new capabilities that we will be releasing at the next release with ArcGIS Indoors. The first one that I wanted to talk about in the upcoming release this July, ArcGIS Indoors will come with a new template application for space management and planning. It's powered by our indoor maps, and users can do different things like create different space plans, evaluate multiple space scenarios. They can make space moves to co-locate teams and defragment space, as well as create office hotels for flexible seating and scheduling. And these changes need to be reflected in other organizational systems. They can be exported for reuse. Ultimately, this is helping organizations make better use of their existing space. This is a version of the ArcGIS Indoors mobile that will release with the release of Enterprise 10.8.1. Here we have a user that will be going on campus and needs to schedule the use of a hotel office for the first week of June. There's a new quick access tool for hoteling that, when clicked, provides the user options for office hotel booking. They start by providing the dates needed, then the type of workspace desired, and specify the hotel area they are seeking a workspace from. The user is then provided a list of available workspaces like we see here, and they can click on the space to navigate to it, view different details about this space, and if they're happy with what they see, quickly have the ability to book that room as well. In addition to space planning and workspace reservation, our mobile applications will also support meeting room booking through an integration with Office 365, so that you can visualize meeting room schedules across your office environment and use that to book the nearest available room to you or your collective group, and to make the room booking process easier and minimize the travel time for the different invitees. Quickly, I'd like to show you all in this demo where we are again showing the Indoors mobile, and behind it, the desktop Outlook calendar. The workflow will be that I'll be showing is an employee wishing to meet with a colleague and looking to schedule a conference room near this colleague to conduct the meeting. So we will start by searching for the colleague we wish to meet with and navigate to around the map. Then we will explore the map looking for a neighboring conference room. When we click on the conference room to reveal the info card for that room, you can see there's a schedule button. Clicking on it shows the schedule of the room, and we want to meet with her at 1 p.m. and see if the room is occupied. If we navigate the calendar to the next day, we can click on a different date or directly reserve, like we see here, that specific conference room with that person that we want to have a meeting with. Once we add the invitees, very user-friendly, very intuitive, we'll see that we can create and book that room, and it will show up on our Outlook calendar there on the back end as well. So those are two of the new capabilities of the Space Planner application that we will be releasing. And real quick, before we get to the Q&A section of the webinar, I would like to show you all some common offerings and how organizations are getting started. So it's pretty clear how several different user groups in an organization can benefit from ArcGIS Indoors. Whether it's thousands of employees, visitors, or students, or a smaller facility in real estate management groups, it can be tough for a GIS manager to keep up with all these users. And this is why we offer unlimited users with ArcGIS Indoors, licensed by the square foot, so that everyone can benefit from indoor maps within your organization. And now, with the latest release, we offer a SaaS delivery model, which comes with all the great capabilities as ArcGIS Indoors on premises, but it's for customers that don't either have the staff, the hardware, or the skills to deploy and manage an ArcGIS enterprise deployment. Some common offerings, and depending on an organization's GIS maturity, the use cases they're trying to achieve, their timeline for achieving these initiatives, and budgets, customers tend to follow the spectrum of different service levels. We see the most GIS mature organizations just have this self-serve method where they purchase that per square foot license, they can download it from MyEsri and begin to work with the system. For those that are in between the low GIS maturity and high GIS maturity, we offer, along with our partners, different services to help you all get jump-started, whether it's a jump-start for deploying an ArcGIS Enterprise or helping you manipulate some of that floor plan data that you have. For those looking for a full turnkey solution, we have different ways to help you all get started, pilot program, different requirement workshops, and really implementation plan to ensure long-term success with any system integration that we may be working with as well. And so as part of this pilot program, what we find is that a lot of organizations are looking for a proof of concept with their own data. And that's why we built our pilot program, where we will deploy ArcGIS Indoors on your infrastructure or on managed cloud service and convert up to 10 floors of data and have or allow for anywhere between 50 to 100 participants. And this process can take anywhere from 10 to 14 weeks to deliver. Once we deliver the pilot deliverables, we kick off a pilot period of 90 days. So this really helps you understand, where different data is being stored, where we need to pull that data from to create this common operating picture. Any system integration that may take place will give us a better understanding of what that would look like and give us some solid use cases for a production deployment based on this pilot activity that we underwent with the 50 to 100 participants. And so with that brings us to the last portion of our webinar, the Q&A, and I will hand it over to you, Sylvia, to toss some questions at us.
Thanks, Marco. And I'm going through the questions right now. And there was one question coming through for Cityworks, actually. The question is, can other Cityworks functionality be applied with ArcGIS Indoors, such as for risk strategies? So Becky, could you talk a little bit about that maybe?
Yes, actually, that is an option. So as I mentioned, we have a number of other plugins. One is associated to the development of risk strategies for organizations. This points directly to your GIS. So you're able to point against your infrastructure within Indoors and use the attribute information that's associated there in terms of prioritization of the fields that start to go into the calculation of your probability of failure, consequence of failure, and business risk. And so all that functionality is still available in combination with what we're doing with Indoors. All of it still ties in, and it all ties back to the fact that the Esri system is the sole asset record for Cityworks, and we're working solely against that platform as part of our architecture.
All right, thanks, Becky. There's another one about pricing for ArcGIS Indoors. People want to know how much ArcGIS Indoors costs. Marco, can you talk about that?
Yep, I can definitely talk about that. And so like was mentioned quickly previously, Indoors is licensed per square foot, starting at 7 cents per square foot. And of course, there are different price breakdowns there. Anyone that has any further questions on that pricing, more than happy to schedule a follow-up call and see what that would look like for your organization.
All right, thank you. And there's actually another one for you, Marco. Somebody wants to know, besides utilities, where else are organizations utilizing ArcGIS Indoors usually?
Great question. Yeah, so like we see a lot of use cases, and Becky had that great slide up there. A lot of the industries, are similar, and we work with the various industries with ArcGIS Indoors. Besides the utilities, the strongest ones, I would say, state and local governments. Airports is a big one. as well as hospitals. We've been seeing a lot of hospitals as well getting started, and not to leave out different types of corporate campuses.
All right, thank you for that. I can see a lot of questions coming in, but unfortunately we won't have enough time to answer all of them now. We will, however, get back to everyone individually to follow up on their questions. So I think we have time for maybe 2 more.
Okay.
So another question for Becky, actually. Becky, can Cityworks be a hosted solution?
Yes, it can actually. So we have a hosted offering called Cityworks Online, and that is actually hosted on Amazon, and we can roll that out to clients. And it's another option for deployment of Cityworks, and it provides the same functionality, access to the same plugins and product suite as an on-site deployment.
Awesome. And then maybe one more for Jake or for Marco. So people are interested to know a little bit more about the relationship between ArcGIS Indoors and Trimble. Could you talk a little bit more about what the relationship between Trimble and ArcGIS Indoors is, Marco or Jake?
Sure,
Yeah.
Trimble. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
Let me just jump in real quick, and if I miss anything, you can come in. So Trimble, specifically our services group, is an indoors specialty partner with Esri. So we have developed a process of data capture and formatting that really expedites the the startup of an ArcGIS Indoors implementation, minimizing the amount of data processing that's required to get your visualization, your formatting, and your geofencing set up. So yeah, that's kind of the primary relationship that we have with regard to Indoors. Marco, would you add anything?
Yeah, no, you said it pretty clear yourself, and just wanted to mention, as you and Trimble have had a long-standing great relationship, and now they are part of our ArcGIS Indoors specialty partner network, providing data capturing and processing, and really a vital piece of our customer success has been, leveraging you all expertise into getting those floor plans in the correct format being utilized by the system ArcGIS Indoors.
All right, I think that would be it.
All right, so I would like to thank all of you for joining. This webinar was recorded, and the recording will be available online. For anyone that has any future questions, please do not hesitate to reach out either to the Cityworks, to Trimble folks, or myself. I encourage you all to not only follow us on social media, but we also have some great instructional videos on YouTube. I recommend you all, take some time and take a look at those resources that are available to you all. But again, just want to leave saying thank you for your time, and I look forward to staying in touch. I don't know if Jake, Becky, any last words for the audience here?
No, just thank you everybody for joining in. I know everybody has busy schedules, and I appreciate you taking the time to spend the last hour with us and just learn more about the solution.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.